so with the Super Bowl weekend coming up this weekend. Good morning, everybody. It's quiet out there right now. You'll have no problem this morning. We do have a winter weather advisory across central and all of southern lower Michigan here. This doesn't start for us until 4 p.m. That's when we expect some snow to develop. It could start with a little bit of rain mixing in, but it's mainly going to be snow. I think we're looking at probably about 2 to 4 inches from this system, and then there's going to be more snow behind that tonight and tomorrow through the day from lake effect, especially along and west of US 131, and there's going to be windy conditions by tonight and tomorrow, so there'll be some blowing and drifting. Blizzard warnings out here in Iowa. These areas in pink are winter storm warnings, but for us, winter weather advisories for most of lower Michigan, and again, those don't start until later today, so the front part of your day will be fine. I've got nothing on radar out there right now, except as we pull out to a wider perspective, here's the snow, the rain. This is still several hours away, so again, until about 3, 4 o'clock, we're fine, but that snow is going to eventually develop by that time. Our current temperatures are in the 20s for the most part. We're 20 in Grand Rapids. We're in the mid to upper 20s there at the lakeshore. We do have a little bit of a wind chill, but this is the last of the really warm days. I think we'll get up into the mid 30s for high temperatures today. Here's what your Thursday planner looks like. We've got partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies this morning is what we'll have. Might see a little bit of sunshine, but the clouds thicken up. 33 at noon, 36 degrees at 4 p.m. with that snow or that mix arriving at that time. Let's see what it looks like as we go through the future track map here. This is at 9 a.m. with temperatures in the mid-20s. As we go through the day, you can see we climb into the low to mid-30s, but by the time we get into 2 p.m., here comes that burst, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, that burst of maybe a mix of some snow or some rain in there. And then as we go into the 6 o'clock hour here, and we'll stop this, we've got temperatures around the freezing mark there with snow overspreading a lot of the area. I think we'll pick up probably about 2 to 3 inches of snow, maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow from that system. Then as we go through the overnight hours, our warmest temperatures will occur midnight, probably around 30, 32 degrees. And then by the time we go into tomorrow morning, they're dropping into the upper teens and low 20s. And then as we go through the day on Friday, the models typically don't do a great job picking up on lake effect snow, but there's going to be lake effect snow through the overnight hours and through our Friday, especially along and west of US 131 with temperatures tomorrow in the teens all day and wind chills down around 0. I'll talk more about all of that coming up in the main weather forecast. I will tell you as we check traffic this morning, this is going to be the best part of the traffic situation right now versus this evening and tomorrow at this time. We'll hear more about that right now from Rob.
In Fox 17 traffic, my reports usually do concentrate on just the present moment, though we're anticipating a very different commute tomorrow. At the moment, though, we have good driving conditions, and we don't have any incidents out there. So at this time of the morning, that's usually the case because of such light traffic. I'm Rob Westerby, Fox 17 traffic.
Well, the Kent County Road Commission is already prepping for what could be the largest winter storm to hit our area this season.
Sarah Grimmer joining us with how the Director of Maintenance says they're trying to get ahead of it. Good morning.
Hey, good morning to the both of you. The Kent County Road Commission's go-to strategy is to use salt, but the temperatures are likely going to be so cold to use it through the next 3 days, it's not going to be as effective, which means they have to use a different solution. So the solution they're thinking of is putting down more sand for traction, and the sand is going to help. But the Director of Operations for Kent County Road Commission, Jerry Bryan, says what is also going to help is patience from drivers. Bryan says we need to be prepared for multiple days of snow-covered slippery roads right now. After all, we have had a pretty spoiled winter so far. The roads really haven't been that bad until this weekend.
They need to be prepared for multiple days of snow-covered slippery roads. Right now, we've all been spoiled. The road authorities, the motorists, the residents, this is going to be a multiple-day event based on the forecast, and you just need that mindset that it's not going to be back to normal.
Can you see me?
And with large snow and ice events like this, it could take roughly $300,000 per day to treat the roads. So with several days of bad weather in our forecast, you can see, Mike and Deanna, how that can add up really quick for the Road Commission for the next week. Live in Grand Rapids, Sarah Grimmer for Fox 17 News.
Sarah, thank you. And with the bitter cold temperatures we're expecting, frozen pipes are a real danger. In fact, according to State Farm, Michigan was third in the country for damages last year. So to prevent that, there are a few things that you can do, including leaving your heat on and set to at least 55, open kitchen and bathroom cabinet doors so the pipes under can be exposed to some warmth. Also, leaving your cold water dripping will keep things moving in those pipes. We have more reminders at fox17online.com.
And as the weather changes in West Michigan, remember you can get the forecast also on our mobile app, Facebook, and on OTT. In your other headlines this morning, Michigan Senator Gary Peters is now the head of the top oversight committee in the Senate.
Peters was among top Senate Democrats invited to the White House. Brody Carter joining us with more on the senator's new role and what happened during the meeting with the president. Good morning.
Mike, Deanna, good morning to the both of you. Michigan Senators Gary Peters and Debbie Stabenow both were invited to the White House to speak with the president on his American Rescue Plan. That was just yesterday. In a press conference, Peters updated the public on the proposed $1.9 trillion stimulus package, said it has broad Democratic support, and it's currently being negotiated between party lines. As the incoming chair of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, Peters now speaking with the president about upcoming plans to appropriate $50 billion to FEMA, which will assist our local authorities with the distribution of the vaccine. Securing enough of that vaccine itself, it was also a major talking point. And while the pandemic response is Peters' number one focus, he says both cybersecurity concerns and domestic terrorism are among his other top priorities. Take a listen.
Have a better sense of how we can employ intelligence assets to track domestic violent groups and their plans to create mayhem or to engage in some sort of violent attack. And we also have to strengthen our coordination with local law enforcement, using the resources that the federal government has at its disposal.
Well, there you have it. In his meeting, he went on with President Biden, speaking about that relief plan in greater detail. And one of the biggest things that many Michiganders are waiting for, the stimulus checks, another $1,400 in direct payments to Americans. Once again, still in negotiations. More to come soon. For now, I'm Brody Carter, Fox 17 News.
Meantime, Congressman Peter Meijer held his first virtual town hall last night, answering questions from locals following his first month in office. The Grand Rapids native was among 10 Republicans in the House to vote to impeach former President Trump after the violent attack on the Capitol last month. Now, much of this discussion centered around that day and Meijer's vote, with some of his voters saying they feel betrayed by his impeachment vote.
I could not have been more disappointed. We thought that we lived with 10 years of Representative Amash betraying us, and you did it in 2 weeks. And so I don't know that there's really much you can say that will ever change my mind and not work toward primarying you out after 2 years.
Others commented that they were proud of his decision. Meijer says he made the vote with a heavy heart, feeling it was necessary that former President Trump violated his oath of office.
Investigators in Owego County need your help finding this man. They say Lucas Ames was last seen January 28th driving a green 2007 Volkswagen Jetta. They also say that he frequents the Muskegon area, so if you've seen him, call police. And the pandemic has, of course, impacted a number of different things, and that includes the cost of childcare.
If you're a working parent, especially these days, you know how hard it can be to, one, find good childcare, and two, in a price range that you can afford. And a new study shows you are definitely not alone.
The last thing that people need right now with all the economic uncertainty is for something as basic and fundamental as childcare costs to skyrocket, but that's exactly what we're seeing.
Childcare costs have increased by 61% in Michigan amid COVID. That's according to a study by LendingTree.
It costs a lot of money to keep those facilities safe, to make sure that it's up to everybody's standards. And we've also seen that a lot of times these facilities have had to reduce their capacity. And sometimes when you reduce capacity in order to make up for some of that lost revenue, you end up making the folks who are still there pay a little bit more. So between the cost of keeping up with regulations and keeping cleanliness as high as it possibly can and reduced capacity, it's kind of this perfect storm for a lot of these childcare facilities.
They found households in Michigan are allocating about 16% of their income towards childcare.
Michigan is, in terms of the increase that we saw, Michigan had one of the 12 to 15 biggest increases. It was about 60%. Nationwide, we saw about 40%. So it's bad everywhere, but in Michigan, it's particularly acute. And that's difficult because Michigan, as you know, has seen high unemployment. It's a fairly low income state compared to some of the rest of the country. So when you add all of that up, it's a really, really hard time to have these costs appear on your budget.
So let's break this down. According to Care.com and their cost of child care calculator, for a family with 2 children in the Grand Rapids zip code of 49504 at 40 hours a week, they're looking at an average cost for a nanny of about $15 an hour. That's about $600 a week. You're looking at around $30,000 a year, give or take. A daycare center is about $370 a week. And of course, rates can change depending on what city you live in, and of course, changes from the pandemic. It's a tough reality a lot of families are facing right now, making these times even more challenging for parents to navigate.
It's incredibly important for childcare to be accessible to everyone who needs it. Anybody who is a parent can tell you that the safety of their child, the well-being of their child is the most important thing. And if the parent can't afford good childcare, it hamstrings everything else that they do. It keeps them from building their career. It keeps them from increasing their income. It keeps them from doing so many different things. There's nothing more important to a parent than good childcare for their kids. And the fact that it's gone up so much in cost in the past year is really, really troubling, because that means it's led to a bunch of difficult decisions that parents have had to make.
Oh, absolutely. Been there, done that.
Yeah, for sure.
Still deal with it.
It's 11 minutes after 5.
Well, there's a debate starting over the possibility of extending the school year, the push from one state superintendent, plus the concerns that could come with it.
And if you might be feeling at this point in the winter season that you've been gypped on winter, we haven't had the wind, we haven't had the snow, we haven't had the Arctic air, yeah, that's all coming. It's going to start to unfold this afternoon. These are snowfall totals through noon on Saturday. The heaviest will occur west of US 131. We'll talk more about all of this and your forecast details up next.
And we want to wish a very happy birthday to Kyla, who's turning 2 years old. Her mom says she loves dancing, singing, and playing outside. So does Davis. We'll celebrate your child as well. Send an email to mornings@fox17online.com.
Happy birthday.
This is a Fox 17 winter weather alert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. As we look out over Grand Rapids and the tower cam shot, you're fine. This morning, no problem. It's what's coming in this afternoon and into the evening, and then we'll continue after that. Here's some bullet points we want to get you up to speed with. Thursday p.m. through Friday a.m., there is a cold front coming in that's going to deliver about 2 to 4 inches of snow area-wide, with the heaviest north of Grand Rapids. Then Friday night and into Saturday morning, along and west of US 131, we're talking lake effect snow, another 3 to 6 inches on top of that. And then Friday into that same time frame into Saturday morning, east of US 131, we're talking lake effect snow, but probably only about an inch or two there. We have winter weather advisories for all of lower Michigan for our area. They don't go into effect until 4 p.m. They stay into effect until 7 p.m. on Friday. There's going to be several inches of snow, as we just mentioned, especially the heaviest along and west of US 131. There's going to be blowing and drifting, near whiteout conditions at times in those areas, especially as we get into the overnight hours and tonight, and that wind tonight and also tomorrow, because that wind is really going to be whipping around, and that's going to drag wind chills down to around 0. Again, nothing out there on live Doppler radar right now. Our current temperatures are generally in the 20s, except we've got some clearing here in Ionia. They've dropped to 17 degrees. You can just see the beginnings of the Arctic air on the map there over North Dakota. That's what's going to be moving on in here, but it's going to take some time to get here. It won't get here today. Today's going to be mild with temperatures up into the mid-30s. This is still getting its organizational act together. This is going to continue to expand and then move our way. And I'm thinking probably by about 2, 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, we're going to start to see that snow at the lake shore, and then it's going to be moving across the area from west to east. There could be some rain mixed in at the onset of that, but it's going to be mainly snow, and that's where I think the couple of inches comes in through the evening commute, and then a couple of more inches through the evening hours, and then it transitions to lake effect. 36 degrees today. Again, the front part of the day. Could even see a little bit of sunshine very early today, some filtered sunshine, but it'll quickly cloud over. Breezy. That PM snow develops. We'll have a southeast wind today at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's what it looks like in the forecast model. Breezy conditions today, but all of the snow gonna see a kind of a burst across the area as we get into the mid to late afternoon hours. That's where I think we see a quick 1 to 2 during that evening commute, and then as we go through the rest of the evening, another 1 to 2 inches. So total from that system about 2 to 4 inches. Windy conditions ensue behind it, and then there's going to be lake effect and lake enhancement behind it as well. That's where another 3 to 6 will come in, especially along and west of US 131 tonight, and then into the day tomorrow as well. And these dash black lines, just the trough of low pressure, just these little disturbances and this added lift to just enhance that snow shower activity here. Our forecast model, the GFS model, doing a pretty good handle on this, I think. The lightest amounts through Saturday will be east of US 131, probably only about 3-4 inches out there, but Grand Rapids could be looking at about 6-7 inches of snow, and if you get closer to the lakeshore and the lakeshore communities, we're talking probably 6 to 10 inches total as we get into the day on Saturday, with the heaviest up here to the north and west of Grand Rapids. We could be pushing 9-10 inches up there, certainly not out of the realm of possibility. I want to look at the wind speeds and gusts, and we'll take this in steps. This is this morning at 9 a.m. This is going to ramp up as we go on through the day. You can see the way the magentas and the reds show up here. Southeast winds at about 10 to 20 miles per hour with some higher gusts. Through the overnight hours, they get even stronger. By 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, we've got 20 to 30 mile per hour winds sustained with some higher gusts up around 35 to 40. And then as we go through the day on Friday, those are still strong. So there's going to be blowing and drifting out there as well. Let's look at the future feels like temperatures of the wind chills. I'll get out of the way here. You can look at the time frame here on Friday. That's tomorrow morning. We've got, because temperatures are going to be falling, we've got wind chills that are going to be down around 0. And as we go through the day, they're going to be below 0 probably as we go through Friday. They'll be about 0 to 10 degrees below 0. And then Friday night into Saturday morning, we'll see we are below 0. Some of these places out here over the northern plains are going to be about 40 to 45 degrees below 0. And then here Saturday at 6 p.m., we are still below 0. And then as we go Saturday night into Sunday, we're running probably about 10 to 20 degrees below 0. So the point is, it's not just us, and our air is being modified. It's colder out here because there's no modification of that air mass from Lake Michigan. So all of us in the northern central plains, the Midwest, and the Great Lakes are going to share in this Arctic outbreak as we go into and through the weekend, and it sticks around for a good chunk of next week. So it's not going to go away anytime soon. 36 degrees today, partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies through the first part of the day, but that burst of snow occurs as we get into the mid to late afternoon hours. Drops down a quick 2 to 4 inches. Then there's another 3 to 6 on top of that as we go through our Friday, especially along and west of US 131. The 32 degrees that you see here tomorrow, that's at midnight, because the temperature is going to be sitting around 20 degrees by daybreak tomorrow, and then they're only going to go backwards from there and sit into the teens with wind chills below 0. We're only 18 degrees on Saturday with some lingering light snow, breezy conditions there, and then look at the Arctic air. Only in the teens, and of course that Arctic air is what's going to continue to fuel the lake effect snow. So I think by the time we get into this time next week, there could be an additional easily 1.5 to 2 feet on the ground west of US 131. So that's where we're going over the next several days, guys.
He's not playing around, is he?
No.
Absolutely.
All right.
Don't play.
Yeah, as the pandemic continues and kids go to class virtually, there's now talk of extending the school year to help make up for the learning loss from going remote.
Alyssa Heron joining us with more on what that could mean for students in the future. Alyssa?
Hey, good morning. Well, this week, the state superintendent, Michael Rice, spoke with various school leaders about this idea as they begin to plan for next school year, like educators do in the winter. He's floating the idea of extending the year in some form. However, a number of school officials raised concerns with that, saying different areas are facing different issues, so they don't think a one-size-fits-all approach would be the best.
And so when we think about recovery, we want to be careful that we don't just try to fill what was back into what is, meaning our system before wasn't great for students of color, wasn't great for students in poverty.
I think that Dr. Rice's opinion of having some systemic kind of lengthening of the school year is a broader conversation, but not one that our members are unwilling to have, just understanding that it is complicated.
Now, in the short term, districts like Rockford have expanded their summer school programs to help further offset student learning loss. And if the decision is eventually made to extend the school year for all districts, the state legislature would have to change certain laws. Of course, we have this full story linked to our mobile news app. Mike, Deanna.
Alyssa, thank you very much. And when it comes to the COVID numbers, the state dashboard is showing more than 1 million vaccines have been administered. That's about 60% of the more than 1.7 million doses that have been distributed.
Meantime, the state is confirming an additional 1,300 COVID cases in the last 24 hours, bringing the total to more than 563,000 here in Michigan. In our viewing area, Kent County still has the highest number of cases with more than 46,000.
The death toll now stands at 14,704, which is an increase of 32 since the past day. A statewide fatality rate is currently at 2.6%, and almost 482,000 Michiganders have recovered from the virus.
All right, it is 5:23 and still ahead this morning.
Well, if you need some ideas this Valentine's Day, one local jewelry store has you covered. What Pfaff Jewelers has to offer in today's We're Open segment. For today's We're Open segment, we're thinking ahead to Valentine's Day.
So maybe you'd like to find a local jewelry store. Rob Westaby joining us with the details. Hey, Rob.
Good morning. Well, Pfaff Jewelers didn't start off as a jeweler, and they didn't start at their current location in downtown Granville. And there's the pandemic. A lot of changes in a short period of time.
We started as a cash for gold store in 2011. And then expanded to Pfaff Jewelers about 4 years ago. So we've been in this location since the beginning of 2020. We had a grand opening in February. The opening was exciting, more than we could have ever thought could have happened. Our grand opening was awesome. The community really came out to show their support, and then the pandemic hit, and it was very frightening at first. But when you realize we're all going through it together, we have to be strong for each other, you realize we will get through it. But it's just that feel that you have those Granville, Jenison, Hudsonville people that come through our door are just so warm and welcoming. There's a lot of different shops downtown Granville, small restaurants, boutiques, coffee shops that really scream small town, local, and our community supports that 100%. So you can find us on Facebook and you can see updates that we put on there. Not only do we update on cool new pieces that we have come through, but also there's fun pieces for sale. And then you can also find us on our website. And then some people don't always want to shop online. They like to find it online and then they'll come in and try it on and see it in person. And that's fine too. Seeing jewelry in person is a completely different experience than shopping online. Seeing it on your hand, wearing it, gives you a whole different feeling than seeing it on a computer screen. You know, overall 2020 was still good to us. Being in a new location, being in downtown Granville, having the community behind our back, 2020 was still good to us. We struggled there for a little bit, but like we all, you know, downtown that had that support of each other, we got through it and we'll continue to get through it.
Pfaff Jewelers is in downtown Granville at the corner of Chicago Drive and Wilson. Pfaff, by the way, spelled P-F-A-F-F, and their website is pfaffjewelers.com. Keep up with who's open in West Michigan on our a special webpage, fox17online.com/open. I'm Rob Westaby.
It is 5:28.
A former church member in Grand Rapids is now facing felony charges. How much money he's accused of stealing from the church's investment account.
And say good morning to our Facebook fan of the day. It is Jim Dunn. Jim, thanks for being a part of Fox 17 Morning News. Have a good one.
All right, 5:31 on your Thursday. Enjoying the sunshine yesterday. That was so nice to see, and hopefully I mean, you got to enjoy it a little bit because it's changing.
Yeah, for sure. I take my little dog outside, and she gets lost in the snow.
Right. Well, it's going to be even worse for her coming up here, right,
yes,
Kevin?
Indeed.
Yeah, especially if you live along or west of US 131 over the next several days. That's where the heaviest snow is going to be. I think at this time next week, there could easily be another 1.5 to 2 feet on the ground in those areas because of the Arctic air really ramping up the lake effect snow. Good morning, everybody. Quiet conditions out there right now. We might even see a little bit of filtered sunshine this morning before the clouds thicken up. But the snow is really not expected to develop until we get into the mid to late afternoon hours in time for your evening commute. It's not a factor in this morning's commute, so no problem there. We do have winter weather advisories across all of lower Michigan. For our area, they don't start until 4 p.m. They stay in effect tomorrow until 7 p.m. Several inches of snow. I think when the system comes in here, the cold front, it'll drop about 2 to 4 inches, and then behind that, we get another 3 to 6 inches of lake effect, especially along and west of US 131. There's a lot of wind with this system. Blizzard warnings out here for portions of Iowa. These areas in pink are winter storm warnings. It's winter weather advisory for us. That signifies that, yes, there'll be some blowing and drifting. There's going to be some cold wind chills tomorrow and as we get into Saturday, but the snow amounts will be a little bit lesser, especially along and east of US 131. Nothing on live Doppler radar right now until we pull out to a wider perspective. This system is still getting its organizational act together. That snow is still a long way from us, but it's going to blast in here probably about 3, 4, 5 o'clock this afternoon. It may start with a little bit of rain mixing in, but I think it's going to be a quick changeover to snow. Current temperatures, the coldest one right now, Ionia at 17 degrees, everybody else at 20 degrees or better. And as we look at the wind chill factors, they're down into the teens in a lot of locations. Here's your Thursday planner. This is the last of the really mild days. We top out at temperatures in the mid-30s today, and that snow and that mix arrives probably about 3, 4, 5 o'clock, just in time for the evening commute. I want to show you how this plays out on Future Track at 9 a.m. These are temperatures that you see on the map, and the clouds may be a little bit thin, but those clouds will thicken up. Temperatures get into the low to mid-30s, and by 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we see that mix, then snow overspreading the area just in time for the evening commute. That'll lay down a quick 1 to 2 inches of snow as we go through the evening hours, another 1 to 2 inches there. So from the system and the cold front, probably about 2 to 4 inches. This is at midnight. Warmest temperatures for Friday occur at midnight, probably around 30, 32 degrees. And by Friday morning, we're sitting in the upper teens to around the 20-degree mark as we go through the day on Friday. This doesn't show it because models have typically a hard time picking this up, but likely lake effect snow all the way through Friday, Friday night, and into Saturday. We'll talk more forecast details coming up as we get into the main weather forecast in about another 8 to 10 minutes from now. Right now, let's check your Thursday morning traffic. Here's Rob.
In Fox 17 traffic, very little going on. Overnight, there was occasional closures on I-69 in Calhoun County that backed up traffic, but that traffic now is starting to dissipate and really not be much of a problem in the future. We're looking at the overall picture here with this graphic showing you green on the highways over 60 miles per hour. And of course, really, you can expect 70 to 75 with most drivers on the roads. That section of I-69 that was closed occasionally overnight was just north of I-94. You can see speed data is back to normal there. And along the lakeshore and between Grand Haven, Holland, normal there, normal in Grand Rapids. I'm Rob Westerby, Fox 17 traffic.
A man from Grand Rapids is facing a felony charge accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from his church.
Fox 17 problem solver Ryan Cummings got a hold of the police report and explains how he found out about the case.
This 9-page incident report from Grand Rapids Police lays out the accusations against 55-year-old Christian Billeth, claiming he stole more than $812,000 from St. John's United Church of Christ between March of 2014 until the end of 2019.
The information came to us in July of last year.
Police interviewed several people about the missing money, including the church council president, secretary, and former treasurer.
A member of the church who located through their internal investigation some impropriety with regards to the handling of church finances. After their internal investigation, they contacted the police department, and then we picked up the criminal investigation from there.
The documents allege between May of 2018 and May of 2019, the church investment accounts did not match the books. When a co-signer on those accounts passed away, Billeth was the only one left. Witnesses told police they tried to put somebody else on the account for security and accountability purposes, but Billeth kept dragging his feet. When he stopped attending the church, he stayed on as council president and maintained control of the investment accounts.
It is somewhat unique in that he had ties to the church because he was a member and he was seen as an elder or someone that was in leadership.
A new council president took over last May. In their meetings, they found a check had been cut from one of the investment accounts to Core Audit Consultants, which was never approved or voted on. According to this LinkedIn page, Billeth is that company's president, which is where investigators allege he funneled the missing money for 6 years, more than 66 checks amounting to more than $812,000. Church members told police that Billeth was the only one who could cut the checks, and they were written directly to his company. The money could have a huge impact on the long-term viability of the church. If the missing funds cannot be recovered, it's concerning to employees and the entire congregation.
You know, we're talking about particularly in this time where people are disengaged from their community, sometimes their spirituality and the place that they worship is all they may have. And if this church is not able to continue on, and I'm not saying for a second that it won't be able to, you have to look at the bigger picture here.
An anonymous letter addressed to the Fox 17 problem solvers pleaded with us to look into this issue. The writer said they were a church member and that they have not been told anything about the case. If these allegations prove true, it's a good reminder about who to trust, even if they go to your church.
I'm not saying for a second that this particular church didn't do all they could do as far as oversight and accountability, but if you overly trust or put most or all the responsibility in the hands of a single individual, you're opening yourself up for impropriety.
Billeth turned himself into Grand Rapids Police and is currently out on bond awaiting trial. Now, I did reach out to his attorney, Jeffrey Kirchhoff, who would not comment on this case. I also reached out to the pastor, but because this is an ongoing investigation, the pastor nor their attorney could comment on the case. Now, Billeth is currently facing one felony charge of embezzlement over more than $100,000. If convicted, he faces up to 20 years in prison and could have to pay back $2.4 million. Reporting in Grand Rapids, Ryan Cummings, Fox 17 News.
Well, if there's an issue you'd like us to look into, you can send an email to problemsolvers@fox17online.com. You can also join the Problem Solvers Facebook group or call the number on your screen.
Well, a woman in Grand Rapids is having her dreams realized with her line of greeting cards hitting Target stores nationwide this month.
How about that?
Yeah.
For the last 5 years, Shannon Cohen has been quietly building her brand, Tough Skin Soft Heart. She started small, selling her inspirational products in hospital gift shops and boutiques. But now, American Greetings is launching her card line into Target stores nationwide.
Now that it's public, I think there's still that element of, oh my gosh, this is happening. There will be about 5 of our designs that will be there on end caps, American Greetings end caps in 1,200 stores. And we'll be in that space with 2 other Black makers.
So those cards will range from around $4 to $6 each, and you can expect to find them in stores for a limited time starting the weekend of February 19th.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Very neat.
Well, a young girl has been helping people in Kalamazoo impacted by homelessness for the last 6 years.
Using skills she learned in a school project, Layla Wallace started Layla's Cool Pops. The small business makes and sells desserts, and then Layla donates a portion of the profits to 5 Kalamazoo organizations helping the homeless. Layla says that she was inspired to help her community all the way back in 4th grade.
Right now, I see a lot of people like on the streets, and I want to help them as much as I can.
Last year alone, we were able to write $3,000 worth of checks, and we are so grateful to have that opportunity to be able to share with our community in such a meaningful way.
Layla's mom is chief financial officer for the company, and they were able to open a small storefront during the pandemic and are already looking to expand. Layla holds drives every month collecting essentials for the homeless, and if you'd like to help out, we have more information on our website and app.
Bright future
Yes,
for her.
indeed. It's not 4. It's 5:41 and still ahead.
Hey, we've got some snow that's going to be coming in this afternoon, and then Arctic air will plunge in behind that. That's going to get the lake effect snowmaking machine going. Look at some of these wind chills. Sunday morning at 9 a.m., 12 degrees below zero in Grand Rapids. That's small potatoes compared to the 51 degree below wind chill in International Falls. At least that's not us. That's a saving grace from Lake Michigan. Your West Michigan forecast comes up next.
This is a Fox 17 winter weather alert.
Hey, good morning, everybody. As we look out over Grand Rapids and frankly across all the area, we're in good shape. No problems on your morning commute right now. It's this afternoon where that burst of snow is going to come in. Got some bullet points I want to share with you so that we're all kind of on the same page, and you will break this down so you know what to expect. So Thursday afternoon through Friday morning, there's a cold front that's sliding on in here. It's going to be breezy today. It'll turn windy tonight and windy tomorrow. That cold front will lay down about 2 to 4 inches across the area, with the heaviest coming across our northern counties. Then through Friday night and into Saturday, along and west of US 131, because of the lake effect snow, as you folks know, it's a West Michigan thing. That's where the heaviest snow will occur during that time frame, another 3 to 6 inches. But during that same time frame east of US 131, we're thinking probably only another 1 to 2 inches. So